Government Degree College for Women, Karimnagar. Today we discuss about natural selection and evolutionary supporting mechanisms. Okay. So, generally the natural selection proposed by Charles Darwin. So, he was conducting experiments on evolution by the HMS Beagle in 1835, and he wrote a book that is called Origin of Species, that is a 19th century special book. So, this Origin of Species tells about how the evolution takes place, how the evolution takes place. So, before that the Lamarck explained about a proper manner. So, but some objections given by these August Weismann. So, that is germplasm theory. According to that, so there is no some objections given by this scientist. So, now the natural selection and Darwinism, it is nothing but Darwinism. So, proposed by Charles Darwin. Okay. So, in this theory of natural selection, some generally overproduction and constancy in population and struggle for existence and variation and natural selection and origin of new species. These are the main components. So, first of all, overproduction. Generally, the each species having highly reproductive capacity, reproductive capacity, but although the populations having or species having highly reproductive capacity, generally the population increases in geometrically, but the food and habitat so increases only arithmetically. So, that is the reason why these are the regulating factors of the populations. That is the reason why the population can maintain the ecological carrying capacity. Okay. So, although the populations having overproduction, so generally some organisms reaches to the reproductive stage, they may die, or some organisms getting some diseases. So, some organisms eaten by predators. So the population size is maintained by according to ecological carrying capacity. So, next constancy in population. Generally, the always reach to the ecological carrying capacity. So, that is called constancy in population. So, number of factors act on the populations, the population size is decreased. So, next struggle for existence. So, this is the one of the most important factor tells about Charles Darwin. Generally, the struggle between the same species, the struggle between the interspecies, the struggle with natural factors and nature, the struggle with nature. So, first of all, so the intra-species competition, the competition takes place in one species, or the competition takes place in one species of the organisms among themselves. So, this competition is very high. Here the competition for food, the competition for habitat and competition for reproduction takes place. So, this is about highly potential factor to maintain the population number. And second one is interspecific competition. So, here the somewhat less competition is there. So, there is no competition for reproduction. So, here the competition for food and shelter and the competition with the nature. So, generally the nature always can stop the overgrown of a particular population. So, generally natural calamities like earthquakes, floods and high temperature and some diseases, these are the pH, these all are controlling factors, then only the organism size is reduced. And next one, variations, some variations takes place in the organisms. So, that variations are suitable to fit in the environment, that variations are accumulated in the next generation and transmits to the further generations. So, this type of variations are very useful to the organisms. So, Darwin tells about these variations. And the next, natural selection. Okay. So, here the natural selection is the one of the most important. So, what are the variations and what are the changes takes place in the organism, so that characters are must utilized for existing in the organisms or exist the species. So, then only, so the natural selection or the nature selected by these organisms, So, if a particular character is very suitable to in survive in the changing environment, so that character accumulate in the organisms, that character transmits to the next generation. So that is a natural selection. So here Charles Darwin tells about, and Bernard and Kettle will explain about what are the natural selection mechanism by this peppered moth. Here, natural selection is the process where the inheritable traits that make it more likely for an organism to survive long enough to produce become more common over successive generation of a population. So inheritable traits that make more likely of an organism to surviving long enough to reproduce. Here, so this is about natural selection. It is likely to mechanisms to evolution. So this is nothing but it is the mechanism for evolution, and the Galapagos finches provide excellent example of this process among the birds. So here, so what is going on? So, the Galapagos finches provide an excellent example of this process. Among the birds that ended up in arid environments, the ones beak better suited for eating cuts got more food. Okay, here, so generally nearly 14 species are origin in the Galapagos island, especially finches. So each and every island having peculiar food habitat and peculiar fauna, especially peculiar fauna and flora also, especially different plants are there. So that is the reason why, so for getting food, so the birds can change beak structure along with the jaws and muzzles also. So that is the reason why nearly 14 species of Galapagos finches are identified by these Charles Darwin. So the Darwin more attracted towards these finches. The Darwin more attracted towards these finches. So here, as a result, they were in a better condition to mate. So the similarly, those with beak shapes that they were better suited to getting nectar from flowers or eating hard seeds. So the change beak structure in the other environments. So were at the advance there in a very real sense. The nature selected the best, so adapted varieties to survive and reproduced. So which organisms are adapted to new changing environment, they can survive. The organisms are may not adapted to changing environment, they may die. So nearly 14 finches are we are identified in the, especially Darwin identified in Galapagos Islands. Okay. So now we are experiment on peppered moth, especially natural selection. The Bernard Kettlewell conducting experiments on this here. So generally the peppered moth in black color and gray color, both colors are there. So at the industrial revolution in England, especially he was selected two sites. First one is Birmingham, second one is Dorset. The Birmingham is a industrial area and Dorset is the countryside, or it is a village. So there is no proper development, there is no industries. So here the in Birmingham, the in the industries they were used more amount of coal. So the coal produced the smoke and fog. So this can change the environmental structure. So gradually, so the barks are converted into black color. The trees and barks are converted into black color. So in that areas, the Bernard Kettlewell observed only black color more number of black color masks are observed. So few gray color masks was observed. So in countryside, the more number of gray color masks are observed. So and he was discovered few black color. So here that is the reason why he was conducting experiment. He was take some masks and he released into few masks in Birmingham and released a few masks into Dorset. So in Birmingham, the Bernard Kettlewell collected more number of black color masks, and in Dorset, the Kettlewell collect more number of white worms. Here what is the changes takes place? Here some factor affecting on the uh, moths selection. So in Birmingham, it's an industrial area. So the black color moths are adapted to the environment, or these are the adjusted in the environment. The gray color moths clearly visible to the predators. Then only the predators pick up the gray color moths. In Dorset, that is countryside, there is no industrial revolution and there is no smoke. Here the especially the environment, the grey color moths are suitable to adjust in the countryside. So then only here the black color moths selected are captured by the predators. So this is the that is the main reason. The in one species in two different sites. So according to environment, the one color moths as a pick up as a food, and other color not pick up by these predators. Then only, so in that Birmingham, the black color was selected, in Dorset, and the white gray color moths are selected. So this is about natural selection. These experiments are conducting on Biston Bettleria. This moth is also called peppered moth. So here we can observing these all are. So this is about so can you find the moth in the tree trunk? So here the it is very suitable to gray color moth. Okay, and next here, so the industrial revolution, and what I am earlier saying, so something was happening in the cities of England at that time. So what could be have been, what could that have been? Okay, so this is about what I am saying exactly is going on here. And here we have to discuss about one more thing, the supportive evidences generally. So we are observing here, so what are the evidences of evolution? The theories that explain the evolution are hypothetical, so there is no practical proof for them. In fact, it is not possible for anybody to observe even a single change in a favor of evolution. So in a single life we may not observe. So one man life we may not observe, but so when we are taking to a large time, for million years, and so then only we can identify what is going on. So how the evolutionist takes place, how the evolutionist takes place. So here some evidences are there. First one is a paleontology evidence, and second one is embryology evidence, and the third one is comparative evidence, and fourth one is so molecular biology evidences. So first one we have to discuss about so some geological records. So nothing but this is called paleontology. So study of fossils is called paleontology. So Earth has been estimated the to the between 4.2 to 5.5 billion years old. The Earth age is determined by radioactive dating. So by the radioactive dating, we can determine the this Earth lifetime, and when we are using cosmic uranium dating, we can estimate the universe or cosmos age. So fossil remains the direct or indirect remains of the organisms preserved in media such as tar, ice, rock, and amber. So generally here the radiocarbon is formed by the nitrogen from single from normal nitrogen. Radiocarbon is formed. So that radiocarbon entering into the organisms in place of natural carbon, in place of natural carbon. So the radiocarbon having some off life period. So according to that I think so the scientists discovered this age of the uh, age of the fossils. So fossils of prokaryotic life indicate that if existed over 3.4 million years. So 3.4 million years ago, so the prokaryotic fossils are observed. Next, fossils are found. So fossils can be found upper and lower strata. These have been found that resemble each other sessions, and connecting between the modern forms and older forms, as well as divergent pathways from common ancestor. So, according to that, so we can observe these different types of connecting links. So, first of all, the paleontology is a study of prehistoric life through fossils. The fossils are the remains of plants and animals. So, and so in India, in Rajmahal hills, number of fans and some organisms fossils we are recorded, and a number of fossil recorded we also identify in India. So the first of all the fossils like Yasinopteran, the connecting link between fishes and amphibians, the fishes and amphibians, and Simuria between amphibians and reptiles, and Cynognathus between reptiles and mammals. Cynognathus is between reptiles and mammals. So, generally the Archaeopteryx, the connecting link between reptiles to birds, Archaeopteryx and Archaeornithus. These two birds are stone birds, and these birds can treated as a connecting link between reptilians and birds. So, generally some reptilian characteristics also we have to identify the long neck and claws, and so the number of vertebrae present in the vertebral column, and long tail. These are the characteristic of reptiles, and the birds characteristics are the beak is present, the bird like cranium is present, and the wings are present, and feathers are present, and keel is present. So, this is about birds character. That is the reason why the Archaeopteryx treated as a connecting link between birds and reptilians and birds. So, and one more thing here we have to discuss about the connecting link between reptilia to mammals, that is called so prototheria organisms, and so here is Cynognathus. So, generally these are having the prototheria organisms are reptile like mammals. So, these are egg laying mammals, and so the uncompletely control of temperature, and so egg laying capacity, and so these are the characteristics of a prototheria. And one more thing here, the T-shaped interclavicle present in the reptiles, and that type of interclavicle, T-shaped interclavicle present only in the prototheria. That is the reason why the prototherians are called reptile like mammals. So, that is the reason why the mammals are originating from reptiles. Mammals are originating from so reptiles. And one more thing here, the we have to observe about evolution of horse. So, generally the evolution is generally horse is originating from small deer like organisms, the small deer like organisms. So, here the cladogenesis takes place. So, nothing but that is called Hyracotherium. So, from that Hyracotherium, so here the Mesohippus, Miohippus, Parahippus, Murrihippus, different number intermediate species we have to collected as a paleontological records. So, we have to know by these paleontology evidence, so how the horse evolution is takes place. We have to know, we have estimated how the horse evolution is takes place. So, generally it indicates that evolution is a gradual process and not a sudden creation of species. So, sometimes evolution is takes place the gradual changes about so according to horse evolution, the different number of species intermediate species are there. So, this tells about what is cladogenesis. Cladogenesis means the serial evolution. So, A species convert into B, and B convert into C convert into D, as like. So, generally these all organisms are we have to collected from these records. Okay, so this is about how the evolution takes place. And one more thing here, the comparative anatomy. Okay, so here the in comparative anatomy, generally homologous organs and analogous organs, and vestigial organs, and atavistic organs, and connecting links, these all are there. So, the comparative studies of certain organisms that indicate similarities in anatomical feature. So, generally the similarity is anatomical features, but change in structure, but change in function, but changing function. So, here the we have to generally we have to estimated the homologous organs. So, the at anatomical parts that are similar in structure and origin in development, but function differently. Example, wing of a bird, arm of a man, foreleg of horse, foreleg of horse. So, the homologous bones exist in the forelimb may many many different vertebrates such as birds, horses, man, bats and whales. So, here some changes are there, but the primary structure is same, the primary structure is same. So, each and the forelimb having humerus, radius ulna and phalanges, metacarpals, carpals and phalanges. So, these all are all types of bones are present each and every organism, especially wing of bird and arm of man and foreleg of horse, foreleg of horse. So, generally here in the homologous organs, so structural function is structure and origin is same, but they function differently. So, here the homologous organs also having some important. So, it tells about adaptive radiation, adaptive radiation. So, what is adaptive radiation here? So, whenever the competition is very high in the particular environment, so that group species occupying the different environments or changed environments. So, they can adapt to that particular environments and adjust it to that particular environment by these formation of special characteristics and special features. So, they convert as a special species, special species. So, this is about in the homologous organs it will tells about that is adaptive radiation. So, for example, here so it is also called a divergent evolution, it is also called a divergent evolution. So, for example, generally in mammals, so the mammals are nearly 16 living orders are there and each and every order having some special characteristics. Generally the mammals are originating from small rat like organisms. So, some mammals try to fly, those can are formed as a bats, and some organisms entering into the sea, those are called whales and dolphins and sea lions and sea cows, walruses etc. Some organisms entering into the burrows, from that rats are produced. Some organisms are entering into the trees. So, in that in the trees generally the sloths are formed, and some organisms try to climb. So, these are called branch climbers. Some organisms are running on the branches, those are called branch runners, and some are inhabited in the plants, those are called monkeys, those are called monkeys. So, some organisms try to run. So, those are from that those are evolved as a horses. So, some organisms are tried to kill other organisms, those are called carnivora. And so, different types of organisms are origin whenever the competition is very high on the land. So, they occupied in different environments, they evolved as a different species. So, this is called divergent evolution, this is called divergent evolution. So, in the divergent evolution generally the new species are origin. Then next second one is analogous organs. These organs which have dissimilar structure and origin, but perform the same function are called analogous organs. So, analogous organs suggest convergent evolution, example wings of butterfly and wings of bird. So, generally the different origin organisms are entering into the one environment. So, the all the different group animals having same structure. For example, insects can fly, birds can fly, bats can fly. So, whenever the competition is very high in the insects, some insects try to fly. So, they will develop four wings, so they can fly. So, whenever the competition is very high in a reptilian stock, so from that the birds are origin. So, in the mammals the competition is very high, that some mammals try to fly, from that so the bats are origin, The bats are arching here. So all are entering into the air. They have to develop some adaptations. So then only they their complete habitat is changed. That is the reason why they can existence in the environment. They can exist in the environment. So here, so what is we have to identify? The life can survive, the life can exist. So what are the changes takes place, or whether it is what adverse conditions takes place, they can try to exist in the environment, or try to live, try to be survive in the environment. So that is the life important characteristics. So here the in analogous organs, what are the changes in the wing structure? Generally the wings of insects made up of tracheoles and nervures, and the wings of bird is made up of especially feathers, and wings of bat is made up of pythagium, made up of pythagium. So this is about changes or structural changes of this analogous organs. So if grouped organs are entering into the one environment, they have to adjustment according to that environment, they have to develop some characteristics. So then only the new species are evolved. Okay, this is about analogous organs. Next, vestigial organs. The organs which were functional in the ancestor but not functional and reduced in the descendants are called vestigial organs. So generally these are the special organs very important in ancestors, but now these organs are not important, not important. So the organs which is very important in ancestors but not important in descendants, so those organs are called vestigial organs. The presence of vestigial organs is the most convincing evidence in favor of organic evolution. So it is the most convincing evidence. So and in favor of organic evolution, and also support the concept of disuse proposed by Lamarck. Okay, so this concept, the vestigial end organs are, so the vestigial end, vestigial organs are very useful uh, to explain about evolution, to explain about evolution. Okay, so these vestigial organs support to the Lamarck theory. These vestigial organs are support to the Lamarck's theory. Okay, here hind limbs of python and in limbs of pelvic girdles in whale, and wings of flightless birds, and vermiform appendix, coccyx, pila, plica semilunaris, and auricular muscles that move the pinna, and hair on the body, mammary glands in the male and in human beings. So these are the Wiedersheim. The Wiedersheim explained about man is the moving museum, of antiquities. So the man has nearly 180 vestigial organs. So that is the reason why hence Wiedersheim described a human being is a moving museum of antiquities, moving museum of antiquities. So this is about vestigial organs. So these organs are generally we observed in embryos. So we observed in embryos, but absent in the descendant, absent in the present organisms. Okay. So next, atavistic organs. Sudden appearance of some vestigial organs in a better developed condition. So as as in the case of tailed human body is called atavism. So sometimes the children's born with tail, born with tail. So whenever the human being in the form of monkeys and chimpanzees, like in that particular time, so old world monkeys and rhesus macaca time, so the tail is very useful. Sometimes in gorilla the large tail is present, and gorilla. Okay, so gibbon, I think, sorry, gibbon has large tail. So the tail is very useful to in that particular time, but from that organisms to man evolved as a homo sapien europeus. So in the homo sapien there is no use of tail. So generally the all works are done by the forelimbs. So that is the reason why there is no use of tail, there is no use of tail. Now the tail is disappear in the next generations. the tail is reappears in the next generation. So here that is the greatest evidence tells about these atavistic organisms. So generally it is also support to the Lamarck theory. Theory, atavistic organs are sometimes appears on that new evolved species. So for example, tailed man in human beings, and so once upon a time the tail is useful, now there is no use, that organ are dissolved, that organ is dissolved. Okay, this is about atavistic organs and connecting links. So generally the organisms which possesses the character of two different groups between which they are transitional or connecting links, they are called transitional or connecting links. They clearly explain the path of evolution. The connecting link clearly explain about uh, the path of evolution. Peripatus connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. Prototherians connecting link between Reptilia and Mammalia. Prototheria connecting link Reptilia and Mammalia. So we can explain about number of these connecting links, and Protospongia connecting link between Protozoa and Porifera. Okay, so the Peripatus connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. The Neopilana galathea connecting link between mollusca and Annelida. Okay, so the echinoderms are connecting link between invertebrates and vertebrates. Okay, so now the number of fishes are, so the lungfishes are connecting link between amphibia and fishes, and near Diplonectus, so now treated as a the Diplonectus. So the lungfishes are called roamer, uncles of amphibia. Okay, so now the Archaeopteryx and Archaeornithis is treated as a connecting link between reptiles and those birds, and one more thing here, the Prototherians are treated as a connecting link between Reptilia and Mammalia. So these are the connecting links. The connecting links walls tells about how the evolution takes place, how the new orders and new species are generated, and next one is we have to tell us about cell and molecular biology evidences. So here first of all these studied under the three headings, namely fundamental unit of life, blood precipitation, nothing but serological tests, and biochemical recapitulation, that is called biogenetic law. Okay, so first of all, fundamental unit of life. So all the living organisms, the structural and functional units are the cells. In all the living organisms, the structural and functional units are the cell. Every eukaryotic cell contains all kinds of cell organelles, such as so here each and every organ is made up of cells. That cells having in a eukaryotic cell, especially endoplasm, reticulum, Golgi complex, ribosomes, lysosomes, and mitochondria, and whatever it may be. These all are having, and the all cells having, these cells are made up of DNA and RNA. These are made up of DNA and RNA, and here చెప్పు ఏంది these are made up of DNA and RNA here, and the all enzymes are same, and generally these proteins and amino acids and fatty acids and hormones and respiratory pigments, so all are nearly same in all group of organisms. కొంచెం అయినాక so all types of chemicals are present in this, all types of chemicals are present in this. So here, so the same biochemical such as enzymes and hormones and respiratory pigments. For example, hemoglobin present from Annelida to mammals, so the same in similar structure, and in plants also phytochromes also, and chlorophyll structure also same, and as like the hormones, and in thyroxine, the same functioning in amphibians and same functioning in mammals, and so the growth hormone like same functions, and enzymes from protozoan to mammals nothing but having same functions, and proteolase and amylase and all those things, and these all are fundamental unit of life. And bio blood precipitation tests, so these are called serological tests conducted by H. F. Nuttall, So first of all, he first injected a small amount of human serum into rabbit. So he was injected small amount of human serum into rabbit. The rabbit developed some antibodies. So that is called anti-sera. So the H. F. Nuttall injected some amount of serum into rabbit, nothing but the serum having antigens. Okay. So for this antigens, the rabbit develop antibodies, that is called anti-sera. Okay. So here, so he was collecting the that serum from rabbit. So he was take the human serum and human serum and chimpanzee serum and monkey serum and dog serum. Okay. So he was collecting these all types of serums, and he add anti-sera about rabbit. So whenever they add the anti-sera to human serum, so the more agglutination is takes place. So it is somewhat agglutination with chimpanzee serum, and a few little agglutination with monkey serum. There is no agglutination with these dog serum. So that is the reason why dog is far related organism. There is no relation, but the chimpanzee is very related. Why? Because the human beings and chimps having same genes, same antigens. So that is the reason why the chimp serum, the anti serum of rabbit react with more with chimp serum. That is the reason why more agglutination is formed. So when we are comparing with monkey, the somewhat less to the monkey, and when we are comparing with these what is dog, there is no agglutination. That is the reason why. So here, so the same type of genes and same type of chemical structure present in that organisms. So that is the reason why we have to identify. And so biochemical recapitulation. So animal recapitulate the biochemical aspects of their ancestor. Example, an adult frog excretes urea, but tadpole excretes ammonia as a fishes do. So when we are observing birds life history in egg, so generally the egg sometimes in the embryo excretes the ammonia, afterwards it excretes the urea, and afterwards it can excrete as a uric acid, and at the end the bird can secrete the guano. Okay. So here this is about uric acid. This is about biological recapitulation, and so generally the embryo of bird excrete ammonia during the first 4 days of development as the fishes do, then urea in the next 9 days as the amphibians do, and finally uric acid as the reptiles and birds do. So even the mammalian embryo first excretes ammonia, and then uric acid, finally urea. So this is about biochemical recapitulation theory. Okay. So this is the greatest evidences to explain about the how the evolutionist takes place. So these are the greatest adaptations, greatest support to the how the evolutionist takes place. Okay. So and the number of one more thing present, we have to identify the relationship between the organisms by the genes. So we have to use the Human Genome Project, and what are the changes takes place in the gene, and when we are observing, for example, a hemoglobin structure and myoglobin structural gene and growth hormones, and so we have to use the gene structure. So what are the same DNAs takes place? Now we have to use DNA fingerprint. So what are the genes are present in the organisms. So how much DNA comparing with other organisms. For example, chimp DNA 99% comparing with human genome. The chimp DNA 99% comparing with the human genome. So that is the reason why chimpanzee is more related to human, more related to human. So somewhat far to the rhesus macaca. So that is monkey. So our local monkeys, so which inhabited in that human settlements. So these all are less descendant, less distance or more distance. So these are not show much related to the chimps. These are not show to the much related to the chimps. So we have to, how we can estimate by the study of genes, study of genes. Okay, so what are the changes that takes place, and from that how many chromosomes are present in the organisms, and what are the karyotype in the organisms. So as like we can explain about evolution. So and we have to one more thing here discuss about discovery of CCMB, our CCMB. Our CCMB conducting experiments on mitochondrial 16S RNA. Okay, so mitochondrial RNA, in the mitochondrial RNA, especially the mitochondria having ribosomes. So in that ribosome small unit 16S RNA is there. So according to that the scientists estimated what is the Indian population. So the Indians are where they are origin, where they are origin. So the how the generally the migration generally the human evolving in the central Africa, that is near to Victoria Lake. So from that, so how many times are coming by the migration, especially the 2 times they are migrated to India by the Andaman Nicobar Islands, and then that is the reason why in Andaman Nicobar Islands the primary species, the primitive races are present. So the Indian government tried to protect themselves by the Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution. Okay. So these are the how the evolution takes place. We have to know. In that particular time, the Lalji Singh is the Lalji Singh Tandon is the chairman of CCMB. So he was proposed this hypothesis. So how the Indians are origin. How the Indians are origin. So this is about evolution. So present how we can how we can conducting the experiments on evolutionary theory, and from external shapes to we have to study DNA. By the DNA, so how the relation is takes place among the organisms. So this is about evolutionary evidences in this paleontology, embryology, comparative anatomy, and molecular biology. So and biochemistry also we have to identify. And one more thing here, the so biogenetic law here, the embryological evidences, the Van Barer conducting experiment on embryology. Okay, so in that embryology observation, so in observation of Van Barer, the Van Barer studied the embryology of fish, salamander, tortoise, chick, and man. He observed that the early embryos of the above animals resembles with each other, close in same basic features. So at the starting stage of these embryos having same similar structure. So afterwards it has developed some special characteristics. At the end, finally they have to resembles their class. For example, the fishes are swimming in the water, and salamanders are swimming also in the water, and this is about tortoises, so having special characteristics, and chick having some special characteristic. So in mammals, pig and cow and rabbit, and finally man. Okay, finally man. So this is about biogenetic law. So this biogenetic law, and so these are the what is observation of Van Barer. And one more thing here, the recapitulation of theory of recapitulation, biogenetic law. It was proposed by Ernest Haeckel. It states that the ontology repeats phylogeny, which means the developmental history of an organism repeats the evolutionary history of an ancestor. So ontogeny repeats phylogeny means the developmental history of an organism repeats the evolutionary history of its ancestor. So, generally in that so the special characteristics finally evolved, and before the in embryos the primitive structures are formed, and once again they have to remember their primitive organisms character, primitive organisms are organisms character. So, this is about the biogenetic law proposed by Ernest Haeckel. So, here so the tadpole larva frog resembles fish both externally and internally. It possesses a tail, gill and two-chambered heart like that of fish. Later it metamorphoses into adult frog. So, the tadpole larva frog resembles fish both externally and internally. It possesses tail, gill and two-chambered heart like that of fish. Later metamorphoses into adult frog. Caterpillar of larva of butterfly recaptures its closest ancestor, the annelid, in the body form. So, in about whenever the caterpillar in the form of the mouth insect in the form of caterpillar, it is resembles to the annelid. So, this is about biogenetic law and theory of recapitulation.